Greetings. I want to talk to you today about something very personal. This has been about the journey over the last probably 5, 6, 7 years of me fighting high blood pressure. I'm not saying that this is necessarily a cure for high blood pressure, and I'm not saying this is medical advice, but I'm just want to let you know what I've gone through and the ways that the problems that I've had with prescription medicine involving high blood pressure, and some of the natural alternatives that I've been trying and what seems to have actually worked for me. All right, and then we're going to actually go into the actual physical products. These are some natural herbs and so forth, and the preparation on how to use them. And then at the end of close to the end of the video, I'll actually let you know the amounts that I use on a daily basis and what's worked for me. Right, so on this part right here, I was mainly just want to kind of first mention some of the reasons why I started looking for natural solutions for high blood pressure. For many years, I started out with the medicine that made you basically had to go use the restroom a whole lot. It was a diuretic, which is one way to help with blood pressure, I believe. But the side effects on that one was also the fact of having a tickle in the throat. I mean, all the way to the point that every day I would have a coughing fit, and I always had to be drinking a little bit of water constantly, And that was one of the side effects of that, and that was just really irritating. And then the doctor I had said, okay, let's try another one, which was losartan potassium. Didn't know too much bad side effects on that, but apparently it wasn't getting blood pressure low enough. And then my doctor had me do another one, and the combination of losartan potassium and this other one ended up having lots of bad side effects. One of the ones was just numbness in extremities. Like my toes and fingers and things, and I was like, man, this is just crazy. And so so I started looking at so I just stopped taking it altogether, and that was kind of a bad thing, I guess, and one viewpoint on that. But then after a few months, I started taking my blood pressure, and it was really high. I was like, well, I guess I'll get back on this stuff. I mean, when I say high, I was like, it was 200 over 100, so those kind of numbers. Right around there. And that was with when I stopped cold turkey on both of those medications. And some people will say that that they understand the fact of if your blood pressure is lower, then the fact of it can help you reduce your chances of heart attack and so on and so forth. I totally understand that logic. All right. But then there's also another viewpoint of all the side effects, and some people will even say that every time you add another medicine on medication, prescription medication, that can increase your chances of certain side of issues with heart attacks and so forth too. So do your own research, and you could argue both points until you're blue in the face, but that's not what this video is about. All right. I just wanted to get off that medicine personally. I didn't like the side effects of it. All right. And I just hate taking prescription medicine if at all possible in the first place. If it's something natural, I would definitely prefer to go that route. So then after I got back on the medication, got my blood pressure back under control and everything for a while, then I started trying some other things while I was still on it. And then I stopped taking one medicine after about 6 months. And then 6 months later, I stopped taking the other one, and then I kept on monitoring my blood pressure. So my results on that with this, I'm getting ready to tell you what I used, is to me, I was happy with it. Now, some doctors may say, well, it still could be a little bit lower, but it was around 135 to 145 on the top number on average. The bottom number was really awesome, it was always below 80. I'm around about 79, 78 or 79 on the bottom number. So I know some doctors still say that top number you need to be concerned with, but it's nowhere near the 200. And this is, without taking those prescription medicines. Now, the medicine aside, obviously lots of things. I need to lose more weight. I need to exercise more. I mean, that's probably 75% of the population falls in that category. Could agree, probably needs to do the same thing. But all that would help out too, I'm sure, even diet and so forth. But right now I'm referring to just the medicine part of this equation here. Okay. All right, so the most of the medicine that I'm using, or the natural, not medicine, or I guess it is medicine, the herbal things, is in the form of a tincture. I've done a few other videos in the past. So the herbs I'm using is actually, the main one is Hawthorn berry. This one has already been tinctured and bottled and everything. So Hawthorn berry is like a shrub. It's used to use more in Great Britain kind of thing, and the UK, more like a hedgerow where they would put it around the fields just to keep the animals in, or keep animals out for that matter. Have thorns on it, hence the name Hawthorn berry, and it has little red berries on it close to the end of the summer or early fall. That's one of the main ones, and the reason for that is it is really good for your heart, and does a lot. You hear the term, oh, it's an anti-inflammatory. Well, it seems like every herb out there is some kind of anti-inflammatory. But this is one of the biggest ones at the top of that list for that, as far as also for the arteries, and I believe it even helps conditioning the arteries and so forth. There's lots of things with the Hawthorn berry that is ideal for heart. Even if you didn't have heart issues, it's still really good for, if you didn't have high blood pressure, it's still just good for your arteries and everything. The good thing about this one, it really doesn't have much flavor. So that's kind of awesome as far as not having to take something really strong. Now keep in mind, I'm not taking swigs of this stuff. We'll go into all the actual amounts closer to the end of the video here. The next item is Dandelion. Now this is some dandelion that I've already put into a tincture shape here, and it has not been filtered yet. This was regretfully where I'm at now. I don't have much dandelion. It's not the kind, or not plentiful enough. So actually I had to buy this, surprisingly. And when you buy your herbs along with for instance, the Hawthorn berry, if you're in the U.S., you're probably not going to find this that's growing on the side of the road. I don't even know if it's even, I don't think it's native at all. If it is, it's not in North Carolina. I've never seen it for in my life. I am making an attempt to actually grow some of this, hopefully. So then I got some seeds still going to sit over for the winter in some soil. We'll see what happens with that. But so with the Hawthorn berry, more than likely you're going to have to buy this. The berries, they're kind of they're dried, and you want to make sure they're organic, preferably. And also with the dandelion, most of us can collect this from an area where animals obviously don't go, and people are not walking on it, preferably. And then dry it, or just use it fresh and tincture it that way too. And there was another video I did about a couple years ago on the dandelion, and where we tinctured some of it. I'm still using it. I'm about out. That's when I had to buy some more, make some more with the herbs I bought and everything on this part. The third ingredient is going to be cayenne pepper. So you can see this is in cayenne pepper right here. This is ready to be filtered. That's what we'll be doing here while I'm talking. Now the first batch of cayenne that I used was some that we grew in a garden a couple of years ago, back when we had a big garden. We just haven't had a chance yet. We're at a new location here, and it definitely had some heat, but it was nowhere near as strong as this one. This was some organic cayenne pepper that we bought online. It wasn't like it was like the whole pepper, and you might be able to kind of tell it's in there. And I did kind of cut it up with actually the only thing I had available was a coffee grinder, so I put a little bit in there at a time, just kind of barely tapped it. I didn't pulverize it, but just enough to kind of break up the bits. So you could do that with a knife if you want to spend a little more time, but it's cayenne pepper. I didn't want this on my eyeballs. so I just kind of did something to kind of break it up. And so we're going to be actually straining this here in a minute here. So that's the three main ingredients. So we got a Hawthorn berry, we got our dandelion, and then we have a cayenne pepper. Now we already talked a little bit about some of the health benefits of the Hawthorn berry. We'll talk about the health benefits of the cayenne. The cayenne, doing some research, some people even carry like the cayenne pepper along with them, put it on their food if they're going out to eat. The reason I did this is more of a tincture, is just for the convenience factor of it. You could definitely do the powder too. But my understanding is the good thing about the tincture is because it's sitting in the 100 proof vodka for 6 weeks at least. This is a little bit longer than this one. It's actually extracting more of the components out of the herb, in this case the cayenne pepper, than just if you were just consuming it and it's in your body just for for half a day or 1 day or something on that part. So while the pepper would be better than nothing at all, just the ground up pepper, but to me the tincture is going to be having more of those components and be more stronger too. On talking about the strength, that is a downside of doing tinctures, or really even any kind of herbal remedy. A doctor can give you 100 milligrams of a prescription, and they know that no matter where you go get that filled, it's going to be the exact same strength. But herbs, depending on how it's grown and probably what variety it is and how it's created, or if it's tinctured or not tinctured, and how long it was, what proof of alcohol, there are lots of variables. So there is a little bit of guesswork. But I will say the first batch of the cayenne pepper that we did in our garden, it has some heat, and I had to use 3 times as much as this one. My first batch I made for this one, I got some out of already off the top of this. I did that. I couldn't even drink it, so I had to use. This was 3 times stronger just because of the types of who grew the pepper. So you have to kind of use that into consideration here. All right, but anyway, back to the benefits of the cayenne. The cayenne has capsaicin, if I'm saying that correctly, and that is definitely something that almost has the instant effect on blood pressure levels there. To the point some people would even use it like in the case of emergency or something if the high blood pressure is kind of high. This one doesn't seem for me to have that like instant thing. This is more of like a prolonging kind of thing, and this is more the instant thing. All right, if that kind of makes sense on that part. And the capsaicin is supposed to, I'm not going to get to the point of just, I didn't want to have sheets or reading stuff off. If you want to get all the scientific stuff, do some research, and you can definitely back up what I'm saying based on all the research I've done already. But the capsaicin is more of an instant thing on that part. Now, where the dandelion comes in here, it's kind of twofold. One is the dandelion is really high in potassium. Like the one prescription I mentioned before, losartan potassium, it actually had potassium in it. Apparently potassium is one of the things that in a lot of American diets we don't get enough of. So when we consume sodium, if we have the potassium, apparently it helps offset the effects of that. Yeah, I'm sure it's more scientifically explained a lot better than that. But if you have more potassium, if you're not getting the potassium and you're still taking a lot of salt in, the salt can be worse for you on your blood pressure. That's my understanding. So logically, having something with some potassium in it that's high, that's a good thing. So we got that. Also, the dandelion leaf. This is leaf, not the root. The root's something different. It's more for liver, I believe. But the leaf also is a diuretic. You mentioned one of the medicines I was on before had the diuretic, which means you just have to go do number 1 more often, and that kind of stops you from retaining fluids, especially to help your blood pressure too. I do know side effect with this a little bit. I don't take this in the morning, and we'll go more details on the actual amounts, like as I mentioned at the end of the video here. So that's why these are all still going to be kind of separate in their own bottles. So we'll go ahead and show you how we get this finished getting this ready here. Now, ideally, we try to get rid of all plastic. We are still unpacking everything, so I got to use a plastic strainer. As much as I hate to do that, that's all we've got access to right this minute here. All right, so we are going to be straining off these cayenne peppers. So whenever we created this one, it was just chopped up finely, put into a quart, and it was pretty close to the top. You do see a little bit of a headspace. There wasn't that much. I had to sneak some off of here already. So and then every day we shook it like this and set it back down. All right. I actually just kept it on a shelf in the where I see it every day. So every day I would shake them. That goes up for us. Basically the same process for all your tinctures. Now for this one here, the a spider crawling up my leg. All right. Anyway, on this one here, this is there's a 6-week and an 8-week guideline, depending on basically how hard the herb is. Like a really leafy herb, like the dandelion, 6 weeks is quite adequate with that one. This one, because I consider it a little bit like in between this and like a really hard one, like a bark or something. So this has probably been more like 7 to 8 weeks already. The hawthorn, technically they say that because it's a hard dry berry, they say that 8 weeks, but I usually go about 10 weeks because it's really hard. You know what I mean? If you can find some fresh hawthorn, maybe you wouldn't have to go that long. Once again, hey, if you're in the UK, you probably got grown everywhere from what it sounds like, but not in America, at least yet. All right. So here we are. We got a. This is like a what do you call it? Cheesecloth, but it's thicker than a cheesecloth. This one does not look clean, but it is. This has been stained. I've used it a lot. I'm draping it inside of my strainer. It's got little holes in it. All right, and we are going to be very careful not to get this in my hands or eyeballs any more than I hope we can. Definitely don't want to get this cayenne tincture anywhere we don't want it. All right, so there we can see how it kind of looks right there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pour it into here. I'm going to go ahead and dump it all in there. All right, so we have 2 bottles. Right now I'm just throwing the first one there. Whoa, that's definitely got some strength to it. All right. Oops. A towel went into it. Oh well. Go ahead and throw this over the top of it here for now. Whew. Oh my goodness. Oh, another thing about the cayenne, it is definitely can be used like if you have phlegm or something or congestion you need to get up. It's kind of funny. I thought if it's psychological after I found that out, but every time after I take this, I feel like I need to cough and get some stuff I didn't even know I had up. All right, we can see we got a little bit dripping going on there still. All right, and ideally you want to kind of bunch it up there. Give it a little bit of a squeeze. This is definitely gonna get on my hands. Make sure I don't rub my eyeballs. If I do, you will instantly see me start crying. Now some people say you shouldn't squeeze this. It could get out some of the heavy metals. I don't know about that, but I feel like this is going to be getting every bit of what it can out of this. Now this was made with the 100 proof vodka. Supposedly you can use the 80 also, but I'll just go ahead and use the 100. There we go. All right, so we got that done there. I'm going to dump this off the side here. All right, now I'm going to be reusing this bottle, so I need to rinse that out. All right, and then we will proceed to go ahead and pour this back into the same bottle here. Hopefully we don't make a mess and lose half of it. I did have some things that had a little lip on it. That really works best. Normally I would have a tray underneath this, so if anything did get spilled, I can pour that out of the tray. But we will cross our fingers on this. There we go. Got 98% of it in there. Okay. Now that was just through a like a double thickness of a cheesecloth or a tablecloth, and that's our final product on the cayenne tincture there that you can see. All right, so now we've got one more bottle. We'll do the same thing again for it. And generally speaking, when you're using fresh herbs, you fill your bottles, your jars up about 2/3 of the way. If you're using dried herbs like the dandelion, it was already dried and crushed and everything together. Filled it up about halfway because it will expand. This was kind of dry, but it wasn't like totally dry like powder, you know. Make sure you're using the same size, same side. So you can see all the stuff that it took out of there. So you can see that what stopped from going into it. Now I used to do like this, and then I'd run it through like a coffee filter. But and I just kind of got to the point like, what's the big deal? I mean, a little bit of sediment, especially if it's something like this, I'm going to be using it constantly. I use this every single day. So if I have a little bit of sediment in it, I'm not that worried about this. Now if it was something I'm going to stick on a shelf like most of my other tinctures that could be on there for years, yeah, that's when I do get to the point of maybe run through another filter, or yeah, like a coffee filter, preferably like a brown unbleached one, of course. Once again, we'll squeeze out the bottom, everything, all the tincture out of there. That actually is a surprisingly amount in there still. All right, then we would dispose of that. We're talking about, I think it's a exfoliant. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. Yeah, but it would definitely get this stuff out of your system. Yep. If you have any congestion. I haven't had this yet when I've had a cold, but I'm sure it would definitely be a good one to use in it if you did. Normally I would say I was just going to add this, but that's getting really close, so I'm going to have to go ahead and clean this one out. I believe I got too much that will fit in it. All right, let's see if we do a better job on this one, not having the adequate tools. Woohoo! And we're looking at 100% on this one. Now I will leave just the last little bit in there. Sometime when I do this, you might be able to see there was just a little bit of sediment in there, so that last little bit I will throw out. All right, let's see if we can just cap this off here. That drop almost went in my eyeball. It splashed out. I'm glad it didn't. All right, there we go. All right, so there's 2 quarts of tincture for cayenne. Made one in the 4th quart once we actually strained it out there. All right, this will last a good while. Compared to the other ingredients, they will not really last that long, of course, regretfully. Now, the actual application they use, as far as how much I take, that's helping me out. So I use a larger bottle for the Hawthorn because it is one that I'm using more of here. All right, and then we have, I must label these D for dandelion, and then cayenne in this one here. I will tell you, never use the last little bit. I used to pour out the last little bit into you know, whatever I was using, like for a tincture for water or whatever. But then one time I had one of these little tips that broke. I didn't know it, and the piece of glass was in the bottom. Because when you're doing this kind of thing, it doesn't get that up. And so, yeah, ever since then, the last little bit in there, I'll get as much as I can out with this, kind of doing diagonal, but I never pour out the last bit because I could have some sediment in there too. All right, so here we are. We're going to go ahead and, that was too big. That one's just right. And this have yes, I know there's probably a fancier way to do this, but this works out good. All right, now the thing is, this cannot stay on there or it'll cause a little, it'll get pressure. So we have to have that just a little bit of an angle so it can breathe and force the air back out of it. There we go. All right, so there we got it. Got two little funnels, and that'll accomplish that there. All right, that one's right up at the top. All right, so the combination I do for when I take this is the Hawthorn. I do four droppers. You squeeze it twice the first time into my water. One, put it back in, 2, 3, 4. All right, and then the Cayenne. And we're saying, for instance, this one is like something I'm doing in the morning, like I just get up. All right, and 1 dropper full Cayenne. That's it. I gotta take some of this out, put over here, so I put too much in it. Now the Cayenne that I made myself, it wasn't near as strong, so I used to put actually 3 in there. And then then we have the Dandelion. Now this Dandelion's not ready yet, so I have some that's already been ready for use. And I'll do 3 droppers of it. 1, 2, and 3. So this would be the morning, and I usually use a whole quart. And when you first get up, you should be drinking a lot of water anyway. So I fill a whole quart up with room temperature water, and maybe slightly chilled, but more like room temperature. And put 4 droppers of, not drops, but dropper full of hawthorn berry, and 1 Cayenne, and 3 dandelion. And that'll be for the morning. Now this isn't full because I had to use some of it, and it definitely got some heat. That's another reason I use a whole quart, because anything smaller, I mean, I can use Texas Pete, even you know, other hot sauces similar to that, or like Tabasco sauce. I'll put a little bit of it on my food, but Texas Pete, I prefer it. But anyway, on a lot of my food, and this I can tolerate it, but it's pretty strong. With that, I definitely would not chug this because of the Cayenne. It can kind of cause some stomach issues, like my stomach would not be too happy, especially if it's on an empty stomach. So I would recommend sipping on it. When I first get up, I'll drink like maybe a 1/4 of this, and then walk around a little bit, do something, drink another 1/4, and maybe over a period of an hour, drink the whole quart. All right, and and that's the morning. And the evening, I would do the same thing. Some people would take hawthorn berry 3-4 times a day. But this is what I've done. I'm doing good just to take it twice. So in the evening, I would just do the hawthorn berry, 4 droppers of it, and 1 dropper of Cayenne. Don't recommend doing the dandelion in the evening, but being a diuretic. I mean, the older we get, the more we get up and use the restroom at the evening. So why encourage that even more? Right, with it being diuretic. So to recap. So what has worked for me and has helped me out with helping me with my blood pressure and not having to take medicine at this point in my life, at least, is 4 droppers of hawthorn berry, 1 dropper of Cayenne, and 3 droppers of dandelion in the morning. And in the evening, same thing. I'll just leave the dandelion on. All right. And I hope you find this information valuable, and do your own research. As a reminder, I'm not saying that anybody should stop taking your medicine. I always want to talk to your doctor first. in my experience, my doctors I've talked to, I mentioned that like I'm going to new doctors at a new location. I tell them that these are the herbs I take. They put it on my record, and they don't ever talk about it. You know, I'll tell them, hey, I take this herb, and this is the reason why. And they're like, okay, whatever. And yeah, maybe it's just because I'm not going to an herbalist or whatever, you know. But but this is what's worked for me. And I hope it will help somebody else out, especially if you're having some of them bad side effects that I was having. And so let me know in the comments if you have some other herbs that you use. I know there is some other mixtures and other things that some people will use, even using it dried. I prefer the tincture every dried or powder. To me, it's just more convenient to add to my water and take it every day. All right, well, thanks again for watching, and you have a good evening.